Turnip and Dulse stew with lamb. Welcome back to Cook Like a Viking. I am Caitlin Aithigan's daughter. Today we have another dish made with ingredients available in Iceland during the Viking Age. Delicious turnip and dulse stew with lamb. While meat was used, often it was not the central part of the meal. Times were hard and meat was valuable. So, we'll start with 2 fresh lamb shanks. They'll be cooked in a broth, and then we'll remove the bones and meat. The broth will be used to cook turnips and dulse. We'll add the meat in moderation later. We'll also add some leek and flavor the stew with fresh fennel root and garlic. I'm using fresh garden garlic as I don't have access to wild garlic. Start with the broth by scoring the lamb shanks. This will make it easier to remove the meat from the bone and will take a shorter amount of time to cook. Slice the meat through to the bone about 3 times. Put the cauldron over the hot fire and add the lamb. Fill the cauldron half full of water and we'll let this boil for a couple of hours. While the broth is cooking, prepare the vegetables. Take 5 medium-sized turnips and chop them into bite-sized pieces. Put the turnip into a large bowl. We will add the rest of the ingredients to the bowl as they are prepared. I have learned a lot about Iceland. The first thing I noticed is that they are incredible storytellers. I heard many stories. One of those sagas told of a man from Iceland by the name of Höskuldur, who went to Norway to buy timber and also purchased a slave woman. She was so beautiful that Höskuldur paid 3 merk for her, even though he was told by the slave merchant that she could not speak. They arrived back in Iceland, and Thorun, Höskuldur's wife, is quite angry, especially when she finds out that the slave woman is pregnant with Höskuldur's baby. A beautiful son is born to the slave woman, and Höskuldur names him Ulfr. One day, Höskuldur hears Ulfr speaking to a woman. Höskuldur finds out that Ulfr is speaking with his mother. What? She can speak? She tells Höskuldur that her name is Melkorka, and she is really the daughter of Merkirton, King of Ireland. When Olaf was older, he wore flashy clothes and was known as Olafur Polly, or Peacock. His mother gave him a ring that her father, King Merkirton, had given her. She insisted he take the ring to Ireland and go claim his heritage. He traveled to Norway first, and King Harald Greycloak of Norway hears his story and sent him off with 60 warriors to accompany him to Ireland. The turnips are cut up. Now on to the dulse. The dried dulse is easier to tear into bite-sized pieces. Put the smaller pieces into the turnip bowl. The dulse should provide enough salt for the stew. Take a small leek. We don't need a lot, so I'm going to just use the white part. Save the rest for another dish. Slice the leek, wash carefully, and put it in the bowl with the turnips and dulse. Back to the story. Ulfr gets shipwrecked in Ireland. The Irish warriors attack and the king shows up to check out the strange ship. King Merkirton realizes that Ulfr looks like him. The king recognizes the ring and accepts that Ulfr is his grandson. Olafur stayed in Ireland for 2 years, helping the king defend his country against Vikings. Olafur decided to head back to Norway, where King Harald gifted him a set of richly made red clothes fit for royalty. Olafur returned to Iceland, an heir of King Bjarkarton, the King of Ireland. Now we're gonna add this seasoning to the stew mix. Take fresh fennel root and cut it a little less than center. Slice thin pieces. Fennel has a black licorice flavor that will go well with the lamb, as long as you don't use too much and overpower the other flavors. Take a couple of cloves of garlic and mince them up, adding them to the bowl. Check the broth. Ooh, it looks like the meat is done. Take the bones and meat out. Remove all the meat from the bones, chopping the meat quite fine. Put the meat back in the pot. Put the bowl of vegetables in the cauldron, stirring it up so it's all covered. Stir the stew, cooking it for about half an hour until the vegetables are soft. We have time to finish the story, so Höskuldur decides it's time for Olafur to marry and has someone picked out for him. Thorgerthur, the daughter of Egil Skallagrimsson, would make a good wife for Olafur. Olafur has lots going for him, being of royal descent and being in the service of kings. He's also fabulously wealthy. Höskuldur tells Egil of his idea, and Egil says it's a good match. However, we have to make sure she agrees. She can be quite stubborn about things she doesn't like. So Egil goes to Thorgerthur and extols the virtues of Olafur, telling her about his royal ancestry. She scoffs, saying, "Dad, they all say that. He's just the son of a slave woman." Egil passes that on to Höskuldur, who tells Olafur that if he wants something done, he has to do it himself. Olafur has a plan. He gets dressed in his royal red clothing, puts on his golden helm, and carried his grandfather's sword. Olafur marched over to Egil's booth at the Thing and saw the beautiful Thorgerthur. This is the first time he saw her. Looking very sharp, he sits down next to her, saying, "You must think this slave woman's son is bold when he sits next to you and dares talk to you." She answers, "You must think that you've a greater test of courage than talking with women." And they spent all day talking with each other. They fell in love and married. Ooh, the stew looks done. Spoon it into bowls and add some creamy skyr for an additional Icelandic flavor. This stew is delicious. Thanks for joining me today on Cook Like a Viking. See you next time. If you would like more information on the recipes and tools we use, check out our website at cooklikeaviking.com. Thanks for joining us today, and see you next time on Cook Like a Viking.